Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome all of you to today's roundtable discussion on designing future-ready agile talent management strategies brought to you by uExcelerate. My name is Ruchika Thakur and I am Human Resource Research Analyst at uExcelerate. I will be hosting and moderating today's session. In this roundtable, we have the pleasure of hosting four executives from automobile industry, with each of them having 20 years of experience in the field of human resources and managing talent. But before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. You will see a raise hand option, a chat, and a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. You can use the chat option to interact with all the panelists and attendees. Remember to select all panelists and attendees when you are sending a chat so that your thoughts can be shared with everyone. The Q&A session will take place in the last 15 minutes of the segment. Please leave all your question in the Q&A box so that we don't lose track of your question. You can also raise your hand during the Q&A session and we will unmute you so that you can ask your question directly. Okay, so let's get started with the session. Just a little bit of context. In our conversation with organization, we have realized that talent management has become the ultimate priority for the leader. It has become necessary to continuously evolve talent and strategies to develop a strong talent pipeline with changing business environment in all industries. But developing and retaining talent has become more critical than ever due to the technology, business models, consumer preferences disrupting the automobile industry. These challenges will particularly stark the automobile companies, OEMs, and suppliers, and how they respond to these challenges will play a large role in determining their success in the coming year. And that is why talent agility is critical for organizations' development, growth, and sustainability. But the big question here is how well India is responding to this. So let's get started with this session to understand more about agility and agile talent management. So now I am going to introduce our extreme panelists. We are really excited to have a panel of experienced and knowledgeable people who have done so amazing work within their fields. So let me first introduce our first panelist, Sunil Sarath. Sunil has over 25 years of experience in human capital management. He is expert in talent acquisition, talent management, and L&D. He is also a certified executive coach from ICF, and currently he is the head of L&D in Sundar Technologies Limited. Thank you, Sunil, for being part of this panel.
Thank you, and hi, everyone.
Okay, so moving on to our next panelist, I'm sorry. I would like to introduce Urbashi Singh Thakur. Urbashi has nearly 20 years of experience in human resources. She is specialized in talent retention, organization development, and transformation. Currently, Urbashi is country head HR at Intiva Products. Thank you, Urbashi, for being here. We are really excited to have you.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay, so moving on to the third panelist, we have Musarrat Hussain. Musarrat has over 3 decades of rich experience in corporate HR, plant HR, and administration. He also has a unique experience of working with global companies. He is specialized in HR transformation, change management, leadership development, and many other HR professional areas. At present, Mr. Hussain is head of leadership and functional school at Maruti Suzuki India. Thank you, Mr. Hussain, for being here.
Hi, everyone. Bye.
Okay. So moving on to our fourth panelist, Pravesh Kumar. Pravesh has over a decade of experience in human resources. He is specialized in performance management, training development, employee relation, organization development, and currently Pravesh is head of human resources at Minda Corporation, India. Thank you, Pravesh, for being here.
Thanks, Ruchika, and good morning, all.
Good morning. Thank you to all the panelists for joining us today. We are really excited to have you all here. So now I would like to move on to the first segment of our discussion where our panelists will share their views and their experience with Agile and Agile talent management. Sorry. So my first question is to all the panelists here. What does Agile means to you and your company? Is it the higher tolerance for ambiguity, flexibility, speed, innovation, or something completely else? Sunil, would you like to start this conversation?
Yes, sure. See, when it comes to agile, uh, the meaning of agile is pretty clear, and from past couple of months and year, it is in practice, and a lot of people are discussing about this also. And it is basically how quickly you are adapting to the ever-changing scenario. So if we talk about auto, we have seen in past couple of years. So a lot of sudden changes they are being observed. Not sudden, in fact, quick changes, I would say. And everybody who is part of this sector, this industry, has to get adapted to that. And to get adapted to this, and then to help organization in steer through these turbulent and what do you say, volatile environment, which is ever changing. So person has to have a skill of what we call as agility. Agility means to have an ability of decision making in quickest possible time. That means you sometimes get very limited time to take decision, whereas you have taken one decision now, and that decision nowhere stands true in coming time, and again you have to relook at your decision. So, in spite of getting frustrated with the fact that my decision is not taking forward, we have to quickly get into the next mode of decision making. And this is what we are experiencing currently in the sector, in the industry, where it is very ambiguous, volatile, and uncertain environment, where this agility as a skill will certainly play a very important role for all people who are working in the sector.
I love the fact that you talked about changing environment. And I feel agile is all about being open to change. And I think that's the beauty of agility. Urvashi, would you like to add your thoughts on agility? You are on mute, Urvashi.
I agree with Sunil, and I share the similar thoughts because we all have passed through a difficult situation here, and I think we have been successful. So, to me, speed in decision making with collaborative efforts and responding to the shifting strategic and operational priority is something which we all have experienced and we have been successful. So we worked on creating a smaller cross functional teams with the right mix of capabilities who are working on not only learning but responding to what is the immediate priority for us. So that's, to me, I think is agility. So speed and responsiveness of decision making, to me, is all about agility.
Yeah. Thank you, Urvashi. Very insightful. So, moving on to our next question, I'm sure that all of us strive to develop a winning talent strategy, but a lot has changed in last few years. Every industry was affected by the pandemic, and more automobile industry tremendously showed agility to adapt to these uncertain times, as well as using it to boost their businesses. Mr. Hussain, would you like to share your thoughts on this pandemic, and were you able to show agility to adapt to it?
See, let me give a little bit of perspective when we talk about agility. See, agility has been the defining factor from ages. Companies which have made or not made, it has all been dependent on kind of action or agility that they have shown. If you talk about our organization, from last 20 years, we have been talking about fast, flexible, first mover kind of competencies that we are working on. It is nothing but what you call agility. You may give a new name. It's like old wine in new bottle. This is something which is required because the world is changing very fast. And as Sunil was also talking about the VUCA world, the one of the biggest disruption which is coming is in the auto industry, and it is not here in India. It is globally. And as you can see in the automotive market, the Indian market is very complex. When we started, we had only 2 companies to compete with. Today, 24, 25 companies are competing with us. And as you can see, even biggest global player are exiting the Indian market, and the biggest players in EVs are entering Indian market. So it's a mixed bag, and it is the survival of the fittest. And agility is what will define the ability to swiftly adapt to the unpredictable situation. Companies which are very, very innovative, they are fast, they are flexible, are actually going to make or break, let me tell you. And Indian market, especially from the Indian market context, it is not that simple. The game is not that easy. So this is what about agility that comes to my mind as far as the auto industry is concerned. But one point before I close is that, if you look at the auto industry per se, because this discussion is all about auto industry, there is lot of societal mega trends which is happening not only here but globally. So you keep hearing about climate change, environmental degradation, direct impact on automotive. You are looking at the demographic trend, the kind of population that we are having, aging population, and then again on the other hand, young population. We are seeing rapid urbanization. You now hear about shared mobility, and the mobility itself is changing. And the we have also seen the rising middle class in India, and consumer awareness is not what was there in 1983 or 84. Today the consumer awareness is so high that and in this kind of context, organization who are really going to make or break is the agility to understand and adjust to these kind of trends. Companies which are not going to adjust is actually going to perish. So this is the context that I want to give, and then of course we'll discuss, take other questions.
Yeah, that's so great. The like how you define agility, ability to swiftly adapt to uncertain, unfamiliar situation is really what agility is all about. Pravesh, do you want to add something on this?
Thanks, Ushika. I think majority of the thoughts around agility is are covered, but still, I think we need to understand the key features around agility. So the key features around agility is being iterational and being incremental. So the time, I think, what we are getting to respond to the challenges is very minimal now, and those challenges are actually putting a lot of pressure on the leaders also to be very open-minded and being very flexible in their approach. And this environment actually pushes us to be more adaptive. And the key feature or the key success factor in this particular thing is how swiftly we are taking decisions. So that is something which is the paradigm shift that has happened. And I accept and agree with Mushrat that agility is something which is not a new term, or that is not something which organizations are practicing now. But now it is not a feature. It's not a feature for the maybe the key organizations. It is pervasive now. So that has actually changed the scope of being agile for everyone, and that is something which is making a key difference. And in our organization, Ruchika, so the key philosophy on which we are working on as of now is we need to, or the thought behind how we are facing agility is that we need to destruct our own creations. So the masterpieces which we created maybe in good times, so those are no longer in existence now, or those are no longer applicable now in this particular environment. So we need to destruct our own creations, and the love which we have for those creations, that needs to be dropped, and we need to think for the new solutions. So that is something which has been prevailing now across the industry and across all the functions. So this is my thought on agility.
Yeah, so true. Like being able to adjust to all the changes, and plus looking ahead, being progressive, adapting to future, like it's like predicting the future is really tremendous, and we can clearly see in automobile sector. Okay, so moving on to my next question, businesses have transformed, and we all know the to certain extent technologies as well as crisis has played an important role in that. My next question is, which one aspect of your business has changed during the uncertain time, which has also influenced the change of your people practices and how you treat your people? Um, Sunil, would you like to take up this question?
Yeah, sure. When you say that the crisis has really given a lot of learnings to the organizations and especially in people practice area. Yes, when we talk about crisis, especially we talk about this global pandemic. So nobody thought of that we need to work from home for some months and there will be complete lockdown, national lockdown. And due to that, a lot of anxiety developed among people. So everybody was anxious that what will happen when the organizations or units or plants or organizations, companies will get opened up and how they will open up. So we have not traveled for last past 50 days. Now, how will we travel? Whether they will ask for anything from us because we are not able to get out of our place. So all these factor has developed a lot of anxiety, a lot of medical factors within individuals. And for organization who has to now operate under these conditions, they have to come out with some people practices where they can handle such kind of anxiety factor. And one such skill which we have seen that which worked during these times was resilience. So to bounce back after getting nervous, anxious, so you have to get back to your work. Now, what should we do for people to bounce back immediately into action? Because if they will come with a lot of anxiety, a lot of thought process in their mind, a lot of ifs and buts in their mind, they will not be able to give their 100% to the organization, to the work which they are going to do. So for HR opportunity, it was important to have people practices in place which will help individuals to come out of these situations. And during these times, I remember that a lot of webinars, lot of talks, lot of discussions by the medical staff members, doctors from good hospitals who are arranged by organizations. We also did that. And seminars and talks on stress management, seminars and talks on ease of living, like should not be so much stressed out with current situation was arranged. And this was very regular practice. Every week or every 15 days, one such talk was being conducted. And it was not only for employees. We were taking care that even their family members should join because a lot of stress used to come from family members. See, a person who has traveled out of house and come at least came to plant for 2 days, his anxiety will come down to some extent. But their family members who are staying at home, they will still feel that it is not safe. You should not go out, or people should not go out. Or when you are coming back from work to your home, what precautions we should take. So all such doubts, all such thoughts have to be cleared from family members' mind also. And these were a new task which a lot of companies have taken up. And then we have to come back to a normalcy also in terms of working, in terms of financials, in terms of organization workings, which was another task. And then there a lot of support we got. So we are a auto component manufacturer. We got a lot of support from OEMs also. They also did a lot of meetings, lot of talks, a lot of training programs on such issues. And all their supply chain partners, they participated and they contributed their own thought processes and what challenges they are facing in bringing their people back. And then you have a lot of migrant workforce also in this city, which traveled back to their home places. Getting them back on work was also a challenge. So that also was a big task for HR people. And then good people practices were talking to them, making them feel normal, and then giving them assurance that you will be safer at workplaces. We will be following all protocols. And during those times, a detailed document was published by organization. We also came out with a COVID-19 protocol, which was followed. So we have a diverse uh, presence in terms of geographical area. So we have presence in Northwest and South. So same document was circulated in all units so that similarity and everybody should be on same page when we are talking about dealing with crisis. So this is how during this crisis time, a lot of new things, a lot of new skills, and a lot of new capabilities among people have been developed. And HR was instrumental in doing all these good people practices and helping people in coming out of this stressful situation of pandemic. Although it is still prevailing, but we are somewhat, to some extent, are successful in helping people to come out of this. This is my take on it.
Very insightful. Like, I love the fact you talked about mental health and dealing with negative emotion and stressful situation. Like, everyone was going through that, and how you and your company worked on it to support your employees is really, really beautiful. Okay, so Urvashi, would you like to add something?
Yeah, sure. So, of course, we continued the same what most of the automotive companies did. That the couple of things which we felt as an organization, we changed our mindset was on shifting our the complete processes from punch in punch out what we used to do in our office at factory, as well as especially because I am taking care of Global Tech Center, which is engineering design and development supporting all the regions. So here we are being compared to IT industries or software electronic companies. So there was a paradigm shift in terms of how you are tracking output of an employee versus what people were coming to office and just completing that 8 hours. So there's a big change in our mindset in terms of everybody. So people are empowered, people have become more responsive, and they stretch themselves. So there is no way we are talking about just logging in 8 hours. Today we actually work towards keeping our employees how remotely we can motivate them, measure their productivity, and our policies have changed. So now we have come up, so since we continue with the hybrid working, we are also looking at now how can we change our policies, which could be specially be designed where employees are productive and they continue to work from home for some time. So all our work practices, people practices are changing, and we would continue to improve our policies and practices to manage the crisis and also keep our employees motivated and productive. The other part of it is the cognitive approach, where we learn to become more compassionate, and we all learn to have work empathy, because with the remote working, where we were not able to hear our presenters, we had to repeat things. People would not turn up for the meeting, maybe for some reasons. There would be unplanned meetings which would come up sometimes. There were extended working hours with no breaks. Maybe you are eating along with the meetings. And so there was, with all the challenges, I guess we have learned and we have sailed through it. So I would say we have learned to be more, compassionate, and this pandemic has taught all of us that. So the only quote which we keep talking about in our company is that we are all in this together. So let's learn and collaborate with whatever crisis and situations we are in. So that's my take on what we have evolved, the practices which we have evolved during this pandemic.
Yeah, like, really nice that compassion is everything. And I feel like companies have started to transform, and they are looking at outcomes and result rather than processes. So it's very nice. Okay, so now we are moving to our next segment, and our panelists, where they will tell us about their experience and initiatives they have taken to support their employee development and talent management through agility. Okay, so my first question is for Mr. Hussain. So it is clear that talent is the heart of what is happening in an organization today. But with rapid changing environment, even the competency required for leaders are changing. What is the competency or skill you think is the most relevant for the future leaders, and how do you help your employees to achieve that?
See, let me give a context to this. See, as we all understand that not only pandemic disrupted or accelerated the pace of change, but if you look at the future of work, the worker and workplace all are going to change. Competencies are primarily what? When you say these are, behavior or skills which are observable, measurable, and coachable. So every organization tries to develop some kind of competency matrix, or as we call it, the DNA of the organization. In our organization, we have our core values as core competencies, and we also have managerial competencies. To just to give the background, and all our HR, talent management, talent development processes are actually hovering around our competencies, which is very, very important and critical for us. And that is the differentiating factor for us, because in our company, more than 90% of hiring is through the campus route. We don't hire lateral at mid, senior or any other level. So it is imperative that our talent pipeline is always intact, and for all critical position, we fill our position from within. We don't hire people from outside the industry to take care of critical position. In fact, for all senior level and critical position, we have two people sitting in the role, one Japanese and one Indian. So that Japanese, they bring in the global perspective. Now, coming to the question of your competencies, we have a very robust competency framework, as I told you, but the future of work as well as this disruption has actually upsetted the entire, talent management or talent development pipeline for us. See, there has been a mindset shift now. Earlier, we are used to working in hierarchies. What we have seen in the last 1.5 to 2 years, that we are all spread in network. Even being a manufacturing, non-production is actually still working from home, of course on a roster principle. What we have also learned during this time, one of the big shift which has happened is that in the plant or factories, we are more prone to controlling. When we are sitting in in an office complex, a boss will be sitting in the cabin and your employees will be sitting in front of you or in cubicles. Of course, we have an open office, so you can see everyone. A lot of controlling happens. And that's the practice, in manufacturing, it's hierarchy, a lot of controlling. But suddenly we found that we have to empower people, because if they are working from home, I don't know where they are. How do I get the results? How do I engage them? Similarly, a lot of experimentation has happened. And one thing that I have observed during this pandemic is that from lot of privacy, we have moved into transparency. Many access to internet or a lot of VPN access was not given to various kind of people, saying that no, this is private to manager or senior manager. We had no choice but to give everything and shifted many things to the cloud. And these are some of the shift. But with this shift, there is a definite change required in not only auto, but in most of the segment of companies, where the traditional competency basket that you talk about, which is teamwork, communication, any company can have any kind of competencies where they focus on. But some of the newer competencies which have emerged during this pandemic, and this is through a wide research which happened, and we find it very relevant. First and foremost is resilience and empathy. We never talked about resilience and empathy 2 years back. That was never in the forefront. But Today we talk about perseverance, endurance, all kind of thing have emerged during. So resilience and empathy as a leadership competency is a must today. Second most important thing is that digital dexterity. Now let me tell you, when you talk about digital fitness, how many of you, even in the audience, can tell me Government of India banned 30 Chinese apps? How many apps you can name? Honestly speaking, I can name only one, TikTok. That's all. I don't know the second one. So that is my level of digital awareness. So today the youngsters are much more aware than our generation or other generation. So what is required is that the digital dexterity has as a competency has to improve. People have to be having non-linear thinking. The tech savviness has to be there, and this is one competency which is going to drive agility and innovation in times to come. The third biggest thing which has emerged, we always talked about leadership, and we had different definition of leadership. Today, one of the biggest definition of leadership is connected leadership. When you are not sitting in a hierarchy, you are in network, how will you display your leadership? So it's called connected leadership. Connected leadership is that even when you are not in presence, how you empower your team, how accessible you are, how keen you are for result. The connected leadership is a forward-looking competency which every industry has to adopt in their competency framework, because this is something which is very important. It is 24/7 kind of leadership competency which is to be applicable. Fourth competency which has emerged in every household and every organization is frugal mindset. What I mean by frugal mindset is that when you were in lockdown, locked in your house, did you buy luxuries or did you do unnecessary shopping? No, you were only doing what was the basic and most essential, that you were spending only on food, right? Your servant was also not coming, nobody was coming, so you were managing everything. But frugal mindset in any organization is how you work in constraint, how you be innovative, how you do more with less. This competency is not only required in organization, required everywhere. I think this should be taught in school itself to the children, how to do more with less. And this is something which is going to help the organization. Last two competencies which I would definitely like to share is, one is cognitive flexibility. We talk about cognitive behaviors, but cognitive flexibility is that how to let go of the past belief. A lot of people and a lot of companies, they harp on the past success. What got you here will not take you there. So how to let go of the past belief, how to adapt effectively. This is what is agility also. So cognitive flexibility is one of the subset of agility. And the last one is pragmatic orientation. How to be resourceful, bias for action, how to act fast, iterate faster. These are all nothing but elements of agility that I am talking about. The agility is expanded here. We have been talking about agility. These 6 things that I talked about are somewhere connected to the agility itself that we are talking today. And going forward, organization has to adapt these to actually survive. When we are talking about survival of the fittest, these mindset have to be adopted as quickly as possible for the managers, for the leaders in the organization, for the talent management, talent development. This is what comes to my mind, and this is what I wanted to share. Thank you.
A lot of great points coming out of your vision, but I seriously feel resilience, empathy is a key for progressive leaders, and our leader must show these things to, like, these competency to grow and help the people around him to grow. Okay, so moving on to our next question. Urvashi, would you like to share your thoughts on how you and your company is leveraging new digital technologies or tools, and how are you using HR technologies to create a better employee experience?
I think we are going towards digital HR, most of the HR professionals in all the industries. But yes, pandemic forced us to uh, attempt to it with speed and agility. So of course, we as our team created a lot of automated tools to run the HR factory, right from virtual onboarding, offboarding, ensuring that everybody has the relevant softwares and hardwares to work from home. VPNs were being arranged, so that all had happened on the side. But on the other side, to keep the employees motivated, we created online recognition tools, which was not specific only from superiors to a subordinate, but we actually introduced a culture of appreciation at all the levels, where a junior could thank or appreciate the manager for being so accommodative and understanding. So these are certain tools which I'm talking only from the perspective of keeping our employees engaged. Okay, so online recognition at all the levels is something which we introduced. And then we have something called HR Smart Tool, which is actually a grievance or a query logging tool, where the HR is expected to respond to the employees within 24 hours, so that the employees who are working remotely are not in a panic mode, and they get right responses on time. We also since we all believe in as an organization being open door policy and keeping the transparent culture, what we actually initiated was having anonymous surveys monthly. So this was introduced specifically because employees may not open up and ask questions directly to their managers or to the management. So we had this anonymous survey run every month, and we had this communication meeting run by the senior executives to answer each and every question. There was no right or wrong question. So we have ensured to answer each and every questions which was coming from the mind of the employee, for them to feel at ease and they are satisfied. Separately, what we did was, we every year we have this annual award, so we continued with that, and we had virtual annual award for employees, families, and kids, where we ensured that 2 hours of engagement is there, and they do not feel that this is different from what we have physical annual awards and the annual day what we have. So lot many games and performances were also there virtually, which employees and their families loved it. And at the end, I would say that having communication, continuous communication by the executives and senior management to the employees, actually felt where employees felt that what is the business context all about, where are we heading, what is the market situation. And they were, and with this information, I think employees are prepared to change their way of thinking, and they start demonstrating and changing their gears. So to me, this is what, as an organization, we have done it, to give a better employee experience to our people here.
Yeah, that is really insightful how you kept your employee engaged with creating unique recognition tools and survey to ensure a certain level of satisfaction. Like, I really like that fact. Okay, so moving on to our next question. So my next question is to Pravesh. Pravesh, with the virtual work environment and work from anywhere situation, you must have dealt with some resistance or some stress, some like high level of stress, as everyone was going through some or other thing. Like, please share some of your challenges you faced while implementing agile approaches and how you overcome them.
Thanks, Rishika. I think this is one of the apt question which I think the entire industry is grappling with. Definitely, specifically in the manufacturing industry, we never have thought of work from home kind of a scenario in which people are not in front of us and they are working maybe from a remote location. Even there was an instance in which in a pre-COVID scenario, we thought of implementing work from home, and it was one of no go for across all the managements and across all the employees. But when the COVID hit us, so at that point of time, we didn't have any option but to go for work from home. So at that point of time, the trust was something which was very important, that needs to be taken up by the leaders, and definitely owning up the responsibilities that whatever is being I am being accounted for. So I am delivering all those things. So that trust has to be there from the employee side also, and from the employer side also, or from the leader side also. That was something which was very important. And we worked on that particular thing very rigorously. There were various initiatives which were being driven across the organization. Just to name a few, I think that was quite unique also. During this COVID situation, we started one-to-one dialogues with our employees, and all the leaders or the people who were their direct managers. So they were interacting one-to-one with with their employees, and that was something which was really taken up very well. And those one-to-one sessions was a mix of coaching, counseling, and a mentoring session. And those things, those discussions which were happening in 1 hour uh, on a monthly basis with each employee. So that was not primarily related to the work. That was more of their family side. That was more from the challenges that they are facing, being offline or being not in office. And there are a lot of sessions in which we faced a lot of vulnerability from the side of the employee, also from the side of the leader also. And those sessions were quite emotional also. But the good thing is that helped us create a connect with the team members, and that actually helped us knowing more about the employee. I think pre-COVID, nobody was aware that what my family was doing, or what my team member's family is doing, how many kids he has. But I think this was a silver lining in this entire volatility, and the this COVID situation, or maybe the challenges what we faced. We are now more connected with the employees, and that has built a very good connect and a trust among the team. This is one of the example, and one more example I just want to quote that was very unique, uh, specifically while interacting on teams. Sometimes one of the employees is at home and the other employee is in office. So this is a very peculiar situation. Uh, and during the COVID situation, when people were working from home, now also people are working from home. So there, in between the meeting, there is a time in which either I am not available, or I have to move out, or some of the other team member is not available, he has to move out. So in this kind of a situation, whatever meetings we were having, specifically in any of the meetings, which is at maybe more than 1.5 to 2 hours, we started with a 3H concept. So the team was very much open in sharing, okay, from the head side, these are the things on which I am slightly engrossed. And heart-wise, maybe from the family perspective, these are the things, or these are the challenges I am being engrossed. And hands-wise, maybe I have to excuse myself for maybe 15 minutes in between the meeting. So those things were being shared very openly and transparently in the team. And the good thing which came up was people were now trusting each other. Okay, if there is something for 15 minutes, I have to excuse myself during the meeting, I tell it upfront. Okay, maybe to the leader, I will be out from maybe 1 to 1:15, and he accepts it. Okay, there are multiple scenarios. You are working in multiple situations, multiple scenarios. So that was something which these small, I would say, but very impactful tools or the methods helped us creating a culture of being responsible, being accountable for what I'm doing, and people were more connected. I think I understand that in this COVID situation, we had faced really tough times. Even we have lost some of our colleagues also during this COVID situation. And that was a time when I think agility was not in the back of the mind, but definitely the employee well-being was something which was in the forefront. And how to deal with it was something in which agility helped us. We have never faced this kind of a scenario earlier. Employee health and well-being was definitely a priority, but is it on the forefront of the industry? I think no. But with these kind of situations in which we lost people, we lost good people, and they were the single or the sole earning member of their family, and they were the key member in the team. So we need to take care of their families also. We need to take care of the team in which they are working. So these are the challenges which this particular pandemic or COVID has taught us. But the way we responded to it, I think that speaks a lot about the flexibility, adaptability, and the way the leaders have responded to this kind of a pandemic situation. And that has actually set an example or a precedent in which leaders were at the forefront. Even there was a situation when the COVID was at its peak. So at that particular point of time, the CEOs were themselves connecting with the employees on one-to-one basis. The promoters were calling up the employees. So that was a feeling, or that was a positivity which was induced in the system, which helped us to get back on track in a very swift manner. So there are multiple initiatives, but I think in paucity of time, this is my take on it. Thanks.
Yeah, like it is really great how your department has shown so much support for your employees and their family. And even like it is great to keep your employees and your team in loop so that it, especially in such uncertain time, it creates a certain level of trust and support for everyone. And I think like you and your company did a really great job. Okay, so moving on, I would like Sunil to take up this question. So it is clear that having a agile culture shift can help people and organization to continue to flourish in the ever-changing world. But it can be stressful for the companies and their people. Sunil, being a coach, would you like to talk about how coaching or mentoring can help organization to adapt to agility and agile talent management effectively?
Sure. Uh, Now coming to coaching, although now very oftenly we are talking about coaching as a practice, but still most of the people relate coaching only to sports. So whenever we talk about a coach, so one thing which comes in our mind is a sports or game, where a coach is there who is training their team to win a particular game. Now, the same concept, if you see that how the same coaching concept will come into people development space. Now, if a coach is very good player, that will not help the team to win the game. Okay, for that, every member of the team has to be fit and a good player in themselves. Coach can only bring out the best in those players so that by becoming a good player, they should be become a good team and then win any particular game. Now, there, although coaching is very talked about term, but again, there are a lot of concepts which have to be cleared when it comes to coaching. Now, coaching is very different from uh, counseling, from mentoring, from consulting, and every person has to draw that line that they should not cross and become a consultant or a mentor to the other person. Now, what benefit a coaching will bring to an individual? I'll talk about this by another point, which is another very key skill in which is required by all corporates or any organization from all individuals who are working in their spaces, the listening skill. Now, every coach has to be a very, very good listener. He cannot become a coach if he is not a good listener. Now, in our scenario, you'll see how do we normally behave. Is we always listen to either to respond or to speak. We never listen to understand and to see that what take I'll get from this. Most of us, what we do is, even the moment the other person starts speaking, we say, if my turn will come, what should I speak in this? So I will only listen up to the point that what I'll be speaking in my turn when my turn will come. Whereas when it comes to coaching, it is altogether different. Coaching is listening to the other individual and getting into his shoes and then his entire behavior, and you have to understand. And a lot of things they come out from that particular discussion. And it is a trait which is to be trained. A coach cannot become a coach without a training. And so when I started doing coaching as a practice, or first time when I went for training of a coach, so the first thing which they told me, I was also laughing in that. They say that coaching is nothing but asking questions. I figure, why should I spend so much of money in becoming a coach if it is only about asking questions? And they said that my coach said that when your turn will come and I'll ask you to ask questions, you will not be able to ask relevant questions to the individual. This is my guarantee. So thus I understood that yes, asking relevant question to an individual is very important. And how by only asking questions, you can come out to a situation where you will frame a entire workout for an individual where he will himself say that "Okay, I will do these things in next week or 10 days time to make myself better." So it's a very what will say trait which is to be learned and which is to be practiced on a daily basis. Now, next coming to when I was saying that creating a thin line or experiencing or managing that line between consulting, counseling, and mentoring. Now, as an individual, whoever will become coach, certainly he has some intent towards behavioral aspect or uh, becoming more on or understanding human behavior and dealing with human behavior. So when you are there into a trade where you are dealing with human behavior, you are tempted to give solutions. So the moment somebody will start talking to some problem or issue with you, you coaching is very different. Whereas as a counselor or as a mentor, you will be tempted to give a solution to him, and you will tell them, please note down these 5 points, start doing this from tomorrow, and you will be okay. Where a coach is not like that, and there is benefits of both the practices, and we need to discuss in detail about what coaching actually is and what benefit it will give to the individual. Another thing which coaching take care of in totality is what I second with Mushrat, what he said is cognitive flexibility. Now, when it comes to cognitive flexibility, see, every individual is, there is a lot of skills within the individual himself. And that's why we say that you have a subconscious mind and you have to prick or hammer your subconscious mind. So you have all the power within. There are a lot of books written that whatever you want to do, you can do by motivating your inner power, your inner strength. Now, how this inner power or inner strength can be triggered with the help of coaching is one is where a person should be triggered for cognitive flexibility. So he should start thinking on different lines. He should start thinking that yes, these possibilities, options, alternatives are there, and I need to practice them. So coaching also helps a person to think on a lot of different ways, whether it is and one another thing which is very important to coaching practice is mindset. This is also a great hindrance when it comes to coaching as a practice. Now, most of us, whoever will start practicing and will have little more than 15 or 20 years of experience, they will certainly have this thing in their mind that nobody can teach me better what I know. So I am self-sufficient. I know my trade at least. If I do not know, I don't know things about IT, but when it comes to HR or learning or development, I know a lot of things. And that statement that I know a lot of things stops you from getting into a better shoe. And coaching actually helps you to remove that shoe and start introspecting, have some kind of introspection or reflection within yourself and come out with a plan which will tell you that, see, look, there are still many points where you need to work on yourself. And if you will work on yourself, you yourself will see that you are a changed person in next 15, 20 days or 2 months or 3 months or 6 months time. Although, and again, coaching is not a quick process. It is not an overnight process. It is a very long process. So normally a coach would start working for with an individual. He says that I will sit with you for at least 6 months time. So there will be 10 to 15 sitting with that coachee, and initial 2 or 3 sittings are only to develop a rapport, nothing else. He will not ask anything about the situation. He will only develop a rapport with the other person, and after that he will start doing actual coaching with the coaching. So it's a practice with a lot of perseverance, with a lot of empathy, and with a lot of change in mindset. In case if anybody want to go really for coaching, they need to have all those competencies which Mushrat has listed down, those 6 competencies, and apart from that, many more to become a real coach and to help people uh, get better day on day basis. This is my take on coaching and agility and flexibility.
Thank you so much, Sunil. So, as you talked about coaching in a sports aspect, I can remember a technique, Japanese martial art technique. It's called Chuhari, and it describes 3 stages of learning, like from learning to mastery. And it is a very useful guide to understand how to approach new learning skill, like including agility or coaching, anything. And I totally agree that coaching and mentoring can be very useful to facilitate organization to achieve agility or any other things. And having a right fit coach is all what an organization needs. And I'm very okay. So we can move on to the last question. Um, um, okay. So we have often heard that organization has to be agile or talent has to be agile, but at the same time, world is dynamic and there is a vital need for organization to stay stable. But this requires organization to be connected to their process and policy that has been doing for years. So is it not contradictory? Like how do you achieve it and how do you become agile and nurture agile talent? Um, Mr. Hussain, do you want to add something?
See, having a agile talent is one of the biggest challenge for organization. In fact, there is a war for talent, and talent scarcity is always there. In fact, the kind of newer skills which are coming, the talent is not there in the market, and you have to actually go overboard to get those kind of skill. I recall maybe 10 years, 12 years back, we were going into process of crash testing, and we had nobody available in India. We started clay modeling, we had nobody in India. We had to get people from abroad. We had to get experts from abroad to train our people. So coming to the concept of talent, let me give a small perspective. For us, we believe in building talent rather than buying talent, and therefore more than 90% of talent we get through the campus route, whether it is an ITI or a diploma or an engineer or an MBA. Our principle is very good in the sense that we hire the best. Now, when we hire the best, we have to also do the best kind of their learning. So their learning curve has to be sharp. So we have a dedicated training academy from long time in Maruti, which is like a corporate university, not only catering to Maruti, but entire value chain, entire Suzuki group of companies. So we are central to that. That's the defining factor for our talent management process, talent development process, where right from entry level to the separation, there is a mandatory learning hours that they have to spend. We follow typical 70-20-10 principle, and hence all the more necessary that the line managers are trained to train their people. We do a lot of overseas training. In fact, we have in the academy, we have 4 distinct school, which is leadership and functional. We have technical school, we have vocational school, and overseas and Japanese culture language school. Huge team, and we focus a lot not only on our employees but entire value chain, because we make or break through our value chain only. Number one. Number two, within our organization, since we hire the best, there is a hunger for variability in the work. So we do a lot of job rotation, and there is a unique concept we have. I've already talked about paired and shared leadership, which is Japanese and Indian on a roll. One of the key thing in our kind of manufacturing, there is a hierarchy, there is a layer where people have to go step by step. We are not like startup or anything, so we are very clear that nobody will become a CEO in 7 years in our organization. So we have a typical manufacturing hierarchy that we clarify during campus hiring. Now, given that scenario and you are hiring the best who can go anywhere, how do you actually engage them? How do you nurture them? How do you make them agile and engaged? And with our attrition being less than 2%, and when we hire people for lifetime, how do we do that? So what we do, one of the things that I would share is that we have a concept called stretch role. So say, for example, we have a role in the region for sales, and it's called regional manager. Regional manager is a department head role, but somebody who is a manager can also be given that role. Then there is a commercial business head role, which is the head of the region. A department head can also become a regional head, though only a divisional or a vice president can become. So what we do is that we give stretch role to people so that they experience and learn, and there is a kind of a succession planning we are doing, and we empower that person. So imagine somebody who is a manager or a senior manager and playing the role of general manager. He is enjoying some of the benefits of that, and he has all the authorities. So there is a grooming which is happening. So this is something which is bypassing our career progression and helping our people, which is I find very unique to this organization, which is really helping and fast tracking our people to the leadership position. And as I said, building talent pipeline is something which is very, very critical for us, because we don't hire from outside. We have to essentially have leaders from within, and if they are not agile, if they are not having the right kind of leadership, right kind of functional skill, soft skill, hard skill, whatever skill you may talk about, they will not be successful in the role, and that will be an impediment to the organization's role and objective. So this is what comes to our mind, though I can go on and on. There are many practices, but this is something which is coming to my mind, so I thought of sharing it. Thank you.
Yeah, you have a very insightful protocol for internal mobility, and your company is really working very hard to make them the future ready leaders. So that's very, very nice. Urvashi, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I think we have similar processes what Mustard mentioned. But being a product company and a smaller organization where we hire people only in say tens and hundreds, so we do not have many people, where we have a backup or a bench being created. So what we focus is mainly on engaging the current set of leaders. So the idea here in our organization, what we felt was that it is good to engage N+2, and what I'm talking about is the team managers or the team leads, because they are the talent pipeline and successor to the senior leaders. So what we came up with a program is, we came out of this hierarchical organization where there is no seniority here. So anybody who is a lead here, who is interested and has willingness to do work, gets to take care of the program. So we give them meaningful work, a good environment, and also a collaborative setup where they could actually lead a program in a way. So I'm talking more from the engineering setup. So these young engineers are participating, they are involved in the decision making, and they are getting equal respect in the organization. So this is how we are engaging and ensuring that the talent what we have available is not going outside and looking for opportunity. So the whole idea was, how do you ensure that the high performance in this organization, our organization, are getting what they actually would have expected from outside organization, and they don't look for any such opportunities. So the environment what we have here is very inclusive, and there is an environment of cohesiveness what we have come up with in this last 1 year. So this talent pool what we have now has direct access to the top management, and these few talent, high performing talent, are put across for an external coaching. And parallelly, we also have one-on-one session of mentoring with our senior leaders. It could be managing director or maybe presidents and directors. And they have been given special projects which we review it quarterly. So there is HR, there is senior management, and the employee who are engaged and meeting periodically to ensure that they are going in the right track. So that's my take on how do you nurture the talent available in the organization.
Thank you, Urvashi. It's very insightful. Pravesh, do you like to add something?
Yeah, Rishika. So I think nurturing talent is a requirement as of now, and we have seen in our organization that getting talent from outside and grooming him for the position in which he has to work on, it actually takes more effort, more resources than maybe having an internal resource who can take up that particular position. So this is something which is now a business process, and it is now being owned by the business leaders also. It's a transition that we are actually in as of now, but definitely the ownership with which the processes are being driven. So we are hopeful that the dependence on external talent will be reduced in future. And see, the way I think the be groomed, it also needs to be changed. Previously, we were having trainings for the employees, and they were being made part of the trainings. They were going through all those trainings, but the impact which was coming, I think, was not up to the expectations of the management. So we have slightly changed our way in which we manage our talent, in which we develop our talent. So now the responsibility of curating the course or the training program is with the people who actually have to go through this particular training, and they are being mentored by the senior colleagues in the organization. So it's a co-ownership of the mentor in the organization with the senior colleague and the people who are in the maybe junior or mid-level positions who want to take up the higher levels in the organization. So it brings a lot of collaboration, and it brings a lot of unique propositions related specific to the organization and specific to the role. So that is something which is yielding a lot of good results. And definitely we also need to understand that where we are going. I think being in automobile, we are facing a lot of issues after COVID, this semiconductor issue, and now from mechanical to electronics, the shift is going to be quite steep, and from electronics to maybe electric vehicles. So that is the skills those are the competencies that needs to be groomed. So I think this agility is going to stay there in the organization or in the industry for long. So I think being agile is a journey, it's not a destination. And we need to regularly de-innovate and think of new ways and means in which the organization requirements needs to be catered. So this is my take on, I think, the way the talent management needs to be carried forward in the organization. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Pravesh. Sunil, would you like to add something?
Talent nurturing. So, being a manufacturing organization, traditionally all manufacturing organizations were aligned to classroom trainings earlier. And if you talk about people, they were more inclined towards classroom training. So whenever you talk about a training program, they will think of, yes, now we need to take approval and then we need to go for a training program where we'll sit for 3 hours. An instructor will come, he will train on a particular topic, and then HR will get the feedback filled, and then we'll come back after a refreshment given by them. So this was a training, the definition of training with any employee, which has drastically changed now. And now everybody, especially manufacturing, also is talking about not the traditional training calendar or training need analysis or forms where training need identification points are there. Now we are talking about LMS. Every organization is talking about learning management system, talking about e-learning courses, talking about tie-ups with all such service providers like Coursera, Udemy, edX, or Degreed or Neptals of the world. And then slowly, the one thing which pandemic has helped people is during this pandemic time, when people were there locked down at their homes, they had got this habit of attending some of the online training programs. So we, during those time, as a HR, we circulated a lot of training programs from these service providers to employees, and a lot of people, they completed those training programs also, and it was a level of satisfaction also they achieved, because what happens is these online training programs give you certification also once you will complete these training programs. So yes, and another aspect which popped up with this online training program is micro learning also. So we also understood that the uh, attention span for any individual is not more than 15 to 20 minutes, especially when it comes to e-learning program. So earlier we also thought that if an e-learning program is there, let's give them 2 hours of e-learning. Then we understood that no, he will not be learning for 2 hours on online. So any program which is for 15-20 minutes will be an ideal for them to listen and to take from that. And slowly, this is how learning for organization, for L&D people also is happening. And all adult learning principles are now being taken care of when we are talking about learning and development space. And this is how talent nurturing, with the help of e-learning programs, with the help of service providers, and with a blend of classroom as well as e-learning programs, is happening. And people are also happy with that. And one thing is, now they themselves come and say that, can you get us programs which are mobile ready. So as we are having time at our own convenience, so the course should be there on our mobile, not on a system, so that if I am traveling on a bus, I should be able to complete my course and I should be generate a certification. This is how learning space is changing, and somehow it is also helping organization to become learning organizations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Like, it is great how all of you have shown agility to develop your employees as well as your organization. Thank you so much for this insightful discussion, and I'm sure everyone would be taking some or other thing from this webinar. So moving on, now it's time for the Q&A segment. Please leave your question in the Q&A box and our panelists will be happy to answer them. And while the questions are coming in, I will tell you about uExcelerate platform. Thank you, Latisha. We are a SaaS platform enabling organizations to scale up personalized leadership development of professionals through coaching by connecting them to the right fit coach. We offer customized solution to suit requirement for modern organization. Our coaching marketplace connects organization to a pool of experienced and certified coaches from our curated marketplace that enables the employee to achieve their personalized transformation, leading towards tangible organization goal. Our coaching platform enables organizations to run their on-demand e-coaching and end-to-end engagement by onboarding their managers or leaders as coach and team member as coaches, thereby building a coaching culture within the organization. Our platform connects organization to a pool of experienced and certified coaches. So if you are in a if you and your people in your organization are hesitant to welcome internal coaches, you can use our platform of over 150 coaches to understand and test how this coaching journey will work for you and your organization. Our coaching platform is personalized for organization looking to develop coaching culture because it allows you to grow and scale up the coaching practices to all level of your organization and help you build a coaching capabilities within the organization. We are personalized skill development platform to democratize coaching. It manages multiple programs. It has goal setting, action planning. It measures progress and reporting. It has inbuilt attendance and feedback management. Our AI platform provides multiple coaches and you can choose the code that fits your need best because every needs are different. Platform provides flexible session. You can choose the date and time of the session that is most convenient for you. It is integrated with a live video facility. Your Zoom session takes place in the platform itself. If you and your organization are looking for having a simultaneous session for multiple people, then the platform is capable of doing that. We also provide data analytics of your session and record the progress of your development journey so that you can measure the ROI of your time and effort. Pratisha, yeah, thank you. Our platform gives you all-in-one dashboard to manage all your learning engagement. It has easy setup and onboarding of the user, provides dedicated program manager to ensure high level of engagement and support, gives you a bird eye view of the entire program to the admin, L&D or HR, manages multiple program and customize learning engagement. Attendance, feedback, engagement, and recognitions are managed through the platform. We also have a mobile app that provides all the features and more. The dashboard gives you overview of your session, your coach, and your task, and does the same for the coach as well. The mobile app is integrated with calendar feature, which allow you to book your session comfortably, and it can be integrated into a personalized Google Calendar. We also have a live video session, which allow you to connect with your coach through the app on your phone. You can also plan your session on the app as well as set goals and action for yourself. And the course of the app is integrated with the instant messaging feature, which allow you to instantly connect with your coach. Our coach marketplace is curated with coaches from all over the world, with with over a 150 coaches on our platform, and they are specialized in different area. If you want to improve your performance or transition from a career to another, or need help with your leadership skill, or if you want to start something of your own, we have coach which can help you with that. Um, uh, the coaches are all certified from reputed organizations such as ICF with 5 years of experience in their field and a minimum of 500 coaching hours, sorry. All of these features are available on our website. If you have any question, or would you like, if you like any other information, you can reach out to us on info@uexcelerate.com. Okay, so now moving on to the Q&A segment. May I request all of you to send the question in the chat box? Or you can also raise your hand. Um, Pratisha, I can't see any questions.
Yeah, we don't have any questions coming in right now.
Okay, okay. Is there any question, anyone? Please drop it in the chat or the Q&A box. You can wait for a few minutes, or otherwise we will close the session.
We have one question from Prashant. How do we motivate managers to be more participative in this process of self-improvement of their skills?
Anyone would like to take up this question? How do we motivate managers to be more participative in the process of self-improvement in their skills?
Okay,
I
I
can
can
take this
maybe.
question if you want.
Yeah, both of you can take.
No issues. I mean, if Pravesh is taking it, fine, you can go ahead.
Okay,
I
I
can
will
add
go
some
ahead,
more.
and I think Mushrat, if you want to add, you may add it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So motivating the managers, I think it's again we need to walk the talk. So when we are talking about motivating people for learning, so as a leader or as an organizational culture, we need to set the context right in place so that people are motivated by themselves, because every time external motivation doesn't work. So we need to create a platform, or we need to create an environment in which people are intrinsically motivated for working on their self-improvement. And I think as leaders, we need to lead that particular path. So if we talk about our group, Spark Minda Group, in this group, actually, we have a senior leaders committee which is there, and it is part of their own development. That's one of the agenda that they have to groom themselves also. So the leaders are actually paving path, and they are actually the torch bearers. So in recent past, I think there are few leaders at a very senior level who have enrolled themselves in various courses, and even our CTO, who has been into various big companies and currently working with the Spark Minda Group. So he himself took a particular program for himself. He did his MTech, and those things are actually creating a path in which people are being aspired. So instead of motivating every time, we need to aspire them to group themselves. So this is my take on it. Maybe Mushrat can add.
No, perfectly all right. But what I feel is that for any employee or a manager, I mean, one thing is that the understanding that there is a skill gap, and there is some challenge in terms of their capability or potential. So that assessment is a must, and whether it is a self-assessment, 360-degree assessment, development center, or whatever it is, that is like a report card. And number two, employees always have this, that what is in there for me? I mean, if I improve my skill, what next? So organizations should have systems and subsystems and processes to support not only the rapid growth and development of the employees, but in terms of engagement, in terms of career, in terms of various other aspects that employees look at. That is what is going to motivate them. Just having a mechanical system is not going to help. So you need to create a culture around all this, because motivation or engagement is something which is very challenging. You have to create that environment where learning is a culture, where environment where helping each other is a culture, empathy and resilience is a culture, you are heard in the organization is a culture. So the question is that it's a combination of various factors, but when it comes to skill upliftment and all, definitely there should be a very robust mechanism for the skill assessment, whether it is by superior or 360 or any assessment, because that report card has to be shared with the employee, so that those gaps will help in terms of how they are going to bridge that. So that's very important.
I also have a point to make in this thing. self-motivation is one of my favorite areas. Because I do a lot of work on positivity. So self-motivation, whenever we talk about self-motivation by any employee, so it has a lot of things to do with positivity. See, when you are not self-motivated, when you have a lot of negative thoughts, and when you are a little low in your any time, whether it is due to your personal life or due to your professional life, but you are feeling low, and whenever you will be feeling low, you will be less motivated. You will not be taking any new initiatives. Now, what should an individual do to motivate himself, to make himself positive, to come out of that negative thoughts? So I'll give you two things in that area, which will a person and any individual can do. One is one thing which is called as incantations. So incantation is, say you have decided a sentence for yourself. So suppose if you say that one incantation is, okay, I will feel positive today, or I will be feeling top of the world today. So you have to repeat this 10, 20 times standing in front of a mirror. Okay. So your subconscious mind will read that as a statement that this is what I'm going to do. So repeat, this is what we call as incantation in terms of self-motivation concept. Second thing which comes in this particular part is when it comes to positivity is uh, thinking about your own area of interest and changing your mindset. So incantation and second part which was telling of positivity is the positive affirmations. Now a lot of people who say that I'm feeling always feel little low in my daytime, or I have a lot of thoughts which keep on disturbing me. So for them, I will tell that you start your day with 15 minutes of positive affirmations. So you will find a lot of videos who give you positive affirmations and it starts with I am. So you will find a lot of videos on YouTube which says I am, and it will be I am the best person, I am the best this thing, I am this, I am that. So these are positive affirmations. So any individual who keep listening this positive affirmation every day, every day, every day, so his subconscious mind start tuning in positive manner, and his the lowness in life, less self motivation in life gets lower down. So these are two techniques. One is incantation, and second is the self, which is positive affirmations. These two things will help individual in becoming more self motivated.
Thank you so much, everyone. We
Yeah.
also
We
one
have few
another.
more questions coming. Yeah. So we have one from Suni. How talent management is automotive segment is different than other segments, and what are the challenges specific to automotive and their countermeasures?
See, talent management per se, the challenge almost remains similar, except that in the automotive sector, what happens is that the kind of technology disruption which is happening, that is where, to keep up with the time, those are the intervention which are typically very hard skills and what you call business specific skill, where automotives are little different than other companies, where we have to focus more on technology in terms of like kind of disruption you are seeing today in automotive is connected, and you talk about electric vehicle, you talk about driverless vehicle, you're talking about now there is a chip problem that you are hearing today, and that is disrupting the entire automotive production. Now your talent has a ability of not only soft skill but hard skill and functional skill, and there are digital skill which has been added now. So to keep up with the time, this is where the automotive is different, because as I was mentioning earlier, for many areas, our people actually have to go outside of India, or we have to import skill from outside to train our people to keep them kind of engaged, and the kind of talent that we need in automotive. So talent management from that perspective, because high degree of automation, high degree of robotics, use of AI, machine learning, deep learning, And when you talk about, all kind of these things, I mean, in industry 4.0, in manufacturing, we are already in industry 4.0. If I talk about robotics, I have seen from mid 80s robotics being used in our kind of operation. So those are the kind of innovation which makes it little different than other traditional companies in manufacturing. And if you look at manufacturing per se, just let me give you a simple data that all kind of manufacturing put together, the contribution to the GDP is say 7.5%. Out of that, 49% plus comes from only automotive sector. So you can imagine all manufacturing put together, 50% comes from the automotive. So that is the kind of size of this segment, and that is the kind of 37 million people directly and indirectly employed. How do you manage them? How do you make them job ready, talent ready? So this is different than some of the other segment in terms of the technology and innovation that is happening here. So this is what comes to my mind.
Yeah, thank you, sir. The next question is from Vidya. We talk about online training tool. Is it possible to implement the same for operators for non-technical training?
No, you are talking about online training for operator, but non-technical.
Yeah, that's the question. Is it possible to implement?
Possible. It is happening. In fact, in today's context, when we have pandemic, classroom is not happening. Little bit of hybrid has happened, but all the behavioral, soft skill, health related, wellness related is happening through online only. And in many of the organization, the operator or workman will not be having a laptop or a mobile, laptop or a kind of a workstation or anything like that. So what happens is that in our organization, all our people, whether direct or indirect or outsourced, are having a smartphone. And what we try to do is that we have created an app. And through that app, what we are trying to do is reach out not only for their wellness and other detail on a daily basis, and we create heat map, but all our content like videos, all our messages, all our typical wellness kind of things are pushed through that, because that is something which is reaching out to thousands of people, direct and indirect, and we call it Kalyan Sathi for them. For all of us, it is Wellness Mitra. So there is a huge use of technology here, and some of the online classes that we are trying to do specific to their need is we have created learning cafes. So e-learning cafe is a kind of a studio or a classroom we have made with proper social distancing, where a specific any training is happening, people can go and their seats are assigned and they can do the online learning there, and the teacher will be addressing them through our web studio. So we have created those kind of studios also, but it is very much possible and very much happening today with all kind of apps and all kind of, and today you have a LXP platform which is anywhere, anytime on the go learning. So LXPs are something which is given to employees in like, and you have platforms like what you call Degreed or what you call Edcast, who are curator and aggregator, but platforms like Coursera or Skillsoft, Udemy, these are becoming very, very popular in organization. Of course, now they are catering to white collared only, but I'm sure that in times to come, these will be also percolated down to the operator or artisan level. So that is the change which is very much visible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. The next question is from Fatima. What are the major differences you have seen in your employees by introducing agility in the organization?
Can you explain once again? Question, can you repeat?
Yeah. What are the major differences you have seen in your employees by introducing agility in the organization?
See, let me answer that. Agility is not something that you implement yesterday and it is applicable from today or tomorrow. Agility is a concept, it's a culture, it's a mindset, it's a competency. It will not, if you are trying to do it immediately, it will not happen. As I said, it's a culture. So it's a DNA of the organization. And as I said, it has kept changing the name. It is like old wine in new bottle with some new iteration. So people see, that is the reason that when we hire young people, it is very easy to mold them into our culture. And that is why we hire people at the young age. Very difficult to mold people if we hire them with 20 years of experience as a lateral. They may bring functional expertise, but the cultural and other soft skill expertise may not match our kind of culture. That's what we presume. But as when we talk about the agility, it may be different for different bands and levels of people. So agility, when I say at the leadership, is looking into the future of business, looking into adoption of new technology, new marketing strategies, or new sales service strategy. That agility we are wanting there. But when we talk about people at the entry level, agility at the shop floor level, agility at the supervisor level, or junior manager level, the meaning of agility will be totally different. And when we say agility at the shop floor, when we roll out a car every 12 seconds, for me, agility will be rolling out car every 8 or 6 seconds. So for me, definition will be totally different. How fast we can ramp up. So for training and development, agility is how fast you are able to train or retrain your people. So it may mean differently to different people, different segment. And agility is a culture. Agility is a DNA. Agility is a kind of a competency. So it has to be ingrained in the organization at all levels. The difficulty level or the proficiency level may differ. Definition may also differ, band to band, as we do it in competency framework also.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hussain, for your answer. And I would like to thank all of our panelists for such an insightful session. So I would close this session due to the time constraint, and even though we have few more questions, but we have to close this session. And I would request I would like to hand it over to Amit. Okay, sorry. So we are also having a session on 11th November, and it's on how to make your organization agile with Charlotte. I would request our audience to please join in that session too if you want to know more about agility and how you can opt agility in your organization. Now I would like to hand it over to Amit, the founder of uExcelerate, before ending this session.
Hi, thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for being there. What a wonderful session, all of you. I think this was one of its kinds where we covered everything from talent to organizations to automobile. Thank you so much for being here on the panelists, all of you. And my hearty thanks to Mushrat, Urvashi, Sunil, Pratisha. And this could not be over without all your participants. So many questions. For people who not answer, we will write to you separately. But do tune in to our next session with Charlotte, and she's an expert in agile coaching in organizations. So stay tuned and see you on 11th November again. So sign off from here. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for joining us. Have
Thank
a
you
wonderful
for joining
weekend,
in.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.